It's bright. What's up, man? How are you? Hi, Tut. Kind of wondering if I should turn on the light for a more balanced light since there's more this way over. What am I doing up so early? Well, I work nights now because I'm training new staff. So I made a promise that I wouldn't wait 3 weeks to stream it because of my work schedule. And since I'm at 12 days, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stream. Yeah. Well, it's not permanent, Fam Jack, by the way. Hello. It's not permanent. It's one of those things that I'm doing for a time because I'm training new staff members, and one one has been mostly trained. She she has training, and I mean, of course, our job. You're not expected to actually like know the job well for at least 6 months to a year, and so she's only been doing it for a few weeks. So yeah, but yeah. So she's got the basics on how to do the job. I'm working with the second person now. We're on the second week of training. And I believe after this week, she will be on her own doing the basics of our job. Then the week after Thanksgiving, I'm training another guy on the basics of our job. And then there's talk of possibly training one or two more people, and maybe training one other person for the back office work that we do. So I have at minimum one person, one more person to train, or at maximum four more to train. So we'll see. But I was hoping to have another overnight buddy I could shoot poop with. No, I my schedule's not set, man. I don't get the time freedom to say, okay, this is my shift. Every week my schedule's different. And yeah, boot camp. Well, okay, here's an idea for you guys to kind of see. The only reason why my schedule right now has been like consistently nights is because I'm training new staff. But let me give you today's two shoot, it's Tuesday morning. I don't have my new schedule for the week after. I've got next week's schedule, but yeah. Next week is Thanksgiving, so hold on a sec, log it in. Okay, let's see here. So like yeah, my schedule this week, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, off Wednesday, 1 to 10, 1:30 to 10 on my anniversary. And then on Saturday, I work 1 to 10 again. Ooh.
I'm a medieval man. I'm a medieval man.
Thanks, Tut. That's a tier 3 right there. Take your lunch money. You're not giving anything? Aw. 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 I'll go to my schedule. Okay, so my schedule for next week. Saturday the 22nd, I work 1 to 10. Monday, I work 6:30 to 3. Tuesday, I work 1 to 10 p.m. Wednesday, I work 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Thursday's Thanksgiving. And then then Friday, I work 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. So yeah. opens, closes, mids, changes every week. Every week. So yeah, I don't have the well. So here's one thing that's kind of frustrating is that because I'm full time, my availability has to be open. So I'm in a lead role. Yeah, speaking of open to close, Tut's working open to close today. I'm in a lead role at my job right now. I'm not actually my title is not a lead, but my role in my job is leading. So, for example, we have store manager, customer service manager, because every department has their own management team, and so for us, we have a general manager over everybody, and then I have my store manager. There's I'm sorry, my customer service manager. There's an assistant customer service manager, and then customer service is one of two departments that has a team lead. So I assist the team lead. I don't do her job. I might do, we'll say like a fifth, maybe, because there's a lot of things that she does that I can't. I don't have access to things. Um, where's my assistant? I am the assistant going. So yeah, so we have a manager, an assistant manager, a team lead, and then you have our customer service staff. Well, in the customer service staff role, um, I've become. Ooh, it's Nobunaga. Hey, dude, what's up? Vroom, vroom. I'm a sponge. Well armed sponge, equipped with super soakers. I'm more of the assistant to the assistant's assistant. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, customer service. We really our roles are really different. So I don't. I'm just customer service staff. I'm awake more or less. Hey man. Hey man. Assistception. Yes, it is assistception. But I'm in path to management, and it was funny. So we have a new customer service manager, and she had been there. Oh, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks. I don't think it had been quite been a month yet. And she's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get you promoted." And I'm like, part of me says, I don't know if I want to be. No, absolutely not. That's one of the reasons why I have not pushed for promotions. Um, is because I understand that um, as I go up that ladder, I have more and more responsibility to the company I work for. And as odd as may sound, I do like my job. I like the people I work with. I do. I have frustrations with it, yes. I do like it though. But weirdly enough, it still comes second. I'm gonna listen in, but I gotta get through Free Space 1 today. All right, Fam and Jack, take it easy, dude. Good to see you. Hi. Good luck. But what's with the time? I saw your stream and thought, I'm seeing things. Nah. So I've been working nights, and because I typically stream at night, my last stream I said, "Hey guys, I'm working nights for like the next 3 weeks," and because of that, I'm not gonna have a regular stream for a while. And I said, "Look, I'm not gonna wait 3 weeks to stream again, so keep your eyes on Discord, and I will make sure to do at least one stream in that time period. And so here I'm making good on that. Hey, Hugo, what's up, dude? So yeah, that's why we have a day stream. Working and lurking. Heard that. I will be heading to work before too long. Yeah, today's not going to be a long stream by any means. It probably won't even be too... Well, I don't even think I'm going to hit the 2-hour mark today. Just because of when I have to, start getting ready for work and head in. But I promised I'd stream at least once, and so here I am. But I've got a solid hour that I can stream here, and figured I'd play for a little bit, hang out with you guys, and catch up. Oh, have fun with that, Hugo. Or Hugo, have fun with that. You fire up the game now. Doom. Tiny build. Yes. Grim, yes. Looks like the Halloween event is over. Because the music changed. I don't even remember what I was doing in this game. I haven't played this game in like 2 weeks. Okay, did I went in a giant circle, right? Because I feel like last time we played, I did all these jumps and crazy jumps, ran around, and then I ended up coming back like right here or something. Get bullied. Yup. Okay, I vaguely remember. Okay, so we did that. Uh-huh. 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 Amazing. Oh, right, we're going down there. Your buddy. No. Okay, so if they're at a distance like that, it actually would hit. It's like, how'd that miss? I get way too much enjoyment out of that weapon, that shot. The thing is, that way I had the opportunity to watch it. I know, no, but not. It's been a while. carpet. Gonna set things on fire and use a giant sword. It's almost like it's not my forte. Right? Like it was meant to be. So this doesn't, it has a large explosion radius, but it doesn't actually have a large hitbox, looks like. Oh yeah, that was okay. Way better. But yeah, Nobunaga, what you been up to, man? Like, what's been up? What's new? How's work? How's life? Hi, Turtle. Good morning. What's... Oh. That looks inviting. Why do I get the feeling that that's gonna hurt me? Yup. Lots been going on. Work is too worky. Don't recommend. I know the feeling. Radioactive melee. It's radioactive. It totally looks healthy. We should like drink it or something, right? Oh. I don't think I think we should go there. Looks like a pitfall. I just don't think we should. Sorry, man. More refined carbon. What's that? Oh, almost got me. Does it work? I can't push the button. No buttons. Well, they're having enough. Need to continue. Dude, I will say this game's, it's basically kind of fun. It's fun to play, but there's a portion of me that like, the pathing conveyance is unclear. Like it's not super conducive. Like don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's fun to play, but I do wish that it was a little more straightforward. Like, I don't need it to be perfectly linear, like you're going to go here, and then you're going to go here, and then you are going to go here. I don't need that. But just because Dark Souls knows how to make a game that tells you nothing, and you have fun figuring it out, doesn't mean that every game can adopt that same exact modality, and it work. Stop being so quick. Nice. I kind of wish that they would drop the whip. I want to try it out. Go up first. Okay. There is nothing to say against a little storytelling. I mean, I suppose. Well, They do set it up a little bit where you meet like your maker and explains, you know, what you are and the reason you were made. Mouth of filth. Oh, it's a gun. Okay. Requires 6 foresight. A short-range, widespread burst. So it's like a shotgun. Okay. But yeah, like I don't have any problems with loose narratives and, you know, having the player explore to figure things out. I have no problems with that. But when your stuff is behind a lot of locked doors, you know, you need this key, you need to find this item to progress. That is a little frustrating. I'm more of the, if you're gonna have an item, that was so perfectly timed. I have no problems with tying progression to a boss, but don't tie it to crap. Crap. But when it's, you have to find a key card in a zone to go on. To me, it slows progress. Hey, okay, what's funny about that, Gutwing? What's really weird? Wait, what? I didn't realize I had some of the seals. Oh. It doesn't open from the side. So, I've run into that in this game. And You know, the way they went about it in this game, it doesn't bother me. Because in this sci-fi style game, they tied it to like key card entry. Like you have to have a key card or something specific for that door, and it doesn't make me angry when it's like, oh, this is the wrong way. Because it's believable. Like, I believe that I don't have access to this room. But I don't believe I can't open this door. That's what's frustrating, is there's no believable explanation as to why you can't do something. This game tackles that fairly well, in my opinion. Okay. Just kick me. Nope. I feel like I should have some splash damage. Because huge weapon, twice your size, you see a wooden door, Yes! Exactly! It's like, dude, my weapon is bigger than this door. Probably weighs more than this door. What do you mean that I can't just kick it open? Or, I don't know, use a world-ending spell. We have these, monstrous spells that are, chaos incarnate, or, we're throwing lightning bolts that are imbued with the essence of dragons. But, this wooden door, it's anti-magic. It is a cursed door of closing. You know what I mean? It's just like, ugh. No 50-centimeter fence with bars so wide afar from another that your character can go through it. Yeah, right. He's so stupid that, yeah, he can't. Oh, look, not locked anymore. What about a low wall you can just hop over? The game is like, nope, gotta go a long way around. Yeah. Sorry, the ground is uneven here. You can't walk. See, and like, okay, this is one of the things that if I were a game dev, which I probably won't ever be, but if I were a game dev, one of the things that I would do is oh goodness, I about ran off the ledge, is I would allow players to traverse, but if I didn't want them there, what I would do is I would make them take a trade-off for a shortcut. They'd have to take damage. So I was like, okay, is it really worth me taking damage here to go do this thing? Like, for example, we're wanting to hop a low fence. We have that discussion. Well, make it have like razor wire or I don't know, something like wooden fixtures that, like, when you're climbing through it, like you're cutting yourself on the wood, stuff like that. Allow it, but there's a trade-off. I don't know necessarily a roll initiative, but you know, I would say I'm not gonna roll initiative. There's always in that one. Did that ghost tell me that ghost just walked off? Hi, honey. Dang, I almost one-shot you. Okay, where's my ghost defeat? Oh, I already got the message. Duh. They weren't there for the travesty of the Nat 1. Not fast enough. Excited and then immediately let down. I did. I overshot. I did that hitless that time. Yum. I like the breath effect. He said hi. What you looking around for? Oh, right. Ah. I forgot I had this. Oh, not enough distance there. No, stop that. Enough. No. Now I'm in the danger zone. Hey, I don't understand. Yeah. Sure, Tut, sure. Sure. No. Ah. One of the reasons I don't like, sometimes I don't like playing with a controller is the aiming. Like, cause it's so, it's me. I'm not as fine-tuned with it. Looky. Tut, we know better than that. Do I actually want to try to get 6? Do I actually want to try? Or I think I like that better. only got 2 levels from that. Do I have a... No, crap. I do not have a joinery thing to work back and forth. What?
We are early game? The stats seem low.
I don't know that I'm early game or not. I've just been playing and going places.
Okay, so this character, he was level, like, all my stats were 1. I don't know if I, chose hard mode unknowingly, but yeah, all my stats were 1. I'm level like 60 something, I think. Because I don't remember there being any option for... I mean, I didn't open it up. I was like, oh, I haven't leveled yet. I haven't fought anything, so why would I be able to change my stats around?
Hello. Ooh, what's this? Okay, hold on. So eye number 2 is that. Pretty sure I have eye number 1 somewhere. Oh. There's an easier way up. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Gotwing. I know nothing about this game. I've played this fully blind. I think the only thing I looked up was because I was lost, and I had to get a hint for the next item. And so I looked up a hint, and I was like, oh, okay.
As soon as I found what I needed,
I was done.
hi, you go. Yeah.
Ow.
You got me hit. Watch this mispick chunks. I play some of this, but I'm not that far, as I am bad and slow.
Aw. Okay, how do I get down there? Okay, how do I get over there? Ooh! There's a button. I cannot push the button. You're in overtime today? I will have a little bit of overtime on this paycheck.
We had an issue at work.
This button cannot be pushed from this side. Oh my goodness, that warp about killed me.
Gotta cook something fast.
I am starving.
Yeah, don't be famished.
Aw.
mistimed that one. Didn't mistime that one, though. Famished Jack. I was thinking it, Hugo. I was thinking it real loudly. This. Channeler of Light. Oh. Okay, that's cool. Okay, well, I'm glad I found that. But, okay, before I go back. Word of advice, never own all the consoles. Okay. Yeah. See, that's the thing for me. Like, I have no issues with choosing unless, like, say for example, say you were on PlayStation and Famine Jack was on Xbox. Let's just say that, and the three of us wanted the same game. I would struggle to pick which console to play on because it's basically choosing between which two of you guys do I want to play it with. Beta System Shock 3 on Switch or Xbox and let the time run out. Oh, you didn't buy it at all? Whoops. That's death. Right. Oh, wait. Oh. Maybe Black Friday deal. Well, if not Black Friday, you might have Cyber Monday as well. Oh. I already went that way. Well, yeah, but I just meant that, you know, if one doesn't have it, maybe the other will. I pressed roll. That was annoying. I'm not really worried about 17,000 Exians. Like, it's a lot, but... Wait, seriously? Yes, if it's on sale on one console 1 week, it's on the other one the next. I basically only watch Steam sales. If it's not on I mean, even then, I don't even buy stuff unless I like really want something, which is not common. I think the only thing that's even on the radar that I might pick up is Night Rain has a DLC coming out that I might consider. I haven't played Night Rain in a while. Not that I think the game's bad, it's just I haven't played it in a while. Okay, so am I supposed to jump from this height? Oh, for crying out loud. That's hilarious. There's a couple of games on sale on the wish list. I'm struggling to justify spending $15 for some reason, and I spend more at the gas station getting snacks. You know what? Let's just see if it kills me. What's up? Hey, Hugo, what does this remind you of? This stuff here. I'm mildly interested in the Steam machine coming out. Just want to know what it how it handles old games. Yeah, there's been talk about how emulation is going to work on it or not. Try it. That wasn't that bad. No, this stuff here. Does it remind you of any resource from another game? No. Yes, the ooze. Oh, who's there? I can hear you. You're the patriarch. I mean, yes, it does look like emulsion for a little bit. I'm thinking more from a Nintendo game. Maybe from a Prime game. Steam Machine just looks like a TV Phazon from Metroid Prime. Steam Machine just looks like the TV version of a Steam Deck. I haven't heard that name in a long time. I didn't think anybody still remembered. Yes, before you lies the tragic outcome of what the Arisen chose to do to their sovereign. Ripped to shreds and walled into the deepest corner of his own palace. All for so-called progress. Well, they got to build their precious AI, and now look. All there is death and destruction. I was blind. I should have taken the AI threat more seriously instead of simply considering them backward. I never thought that this project of theirs would gain so many allies. There are dark influences at work here. We were played before we could even understand the game. Why are they keeping me alive? As a trophy, perhaps. I have no son. My line isn't a threat to anyone. You are a spawn, aren't you? I can still smell the salt of the pond on you. Leave me be. You must be doing their bidding, otherwise you'd be dead. You think you're doing the right thing, but you're being used. As soon as the doors open, they'll send their false prophet and proclaim their heathen scriptures to be the truth. Leave me be. My blood is boiling. I cannot speak. Should have asked what this monolith was. Yeah, I've played Metroid Prime 1. It's one of my favorites, actually. It has a remaster on Switch. It's really good. I think it's $40. I mean, seriously, has anyone heard about an AI that turned out good? Even the movie AI wasn't good. And it was Robo Pinocchio. Alright, we're going through the monolith. It's full of stars. Found a monolith and explored the... Oh. Even the... There... Oh. I'm green. Double D, double die. Well, I want to point out too many of... I don't want to point out too many things like that. What was that one? Everything's backwards. Weird. There's Oh, whoa, what the crap? There's movie about an AI. And he like breaks free. And like figures out how to upload a conscious to AI. Or consciousness. Yeah, we watched that movie and it was so weird. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It was just, like... kind of like a fever dream, almost. What was that? Because the premise looked promising, and then it just wasn't. No, not Transcendence. It was a name. Like it was a name. I don't think AI will be around for very long. Consumes too many resources. Not the criminal robot one? What do you mean by criminal robot one? I mean, yeah, he does get in with a gang and Chappie, yes, that's it. That's it. That's the one. Yeah, Transcendence is the one where the scientist uploads his own consciousness. Johnny Depp. Yeah, I didn't see that. You may have, but I don't remember. I didn't watch that one. Alright, so this... I mean, for it to stay around, it's going to have to, Tut, because, like, realistically, it's not... I think it's the new toy that everyone likes to play with, and they want to have the best toy. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's unnecessary. I would say that it's being relied upon for too many things that it doesn't need to be doing. Like some stuff, sure. But in everything, no. Absolutely not. Yeah. Oh, hello. Fourth Archon. Oh, you're cool. First try. I don't know if you heard what I said on about that. Oh. About the use of AI. It is useful, but it's being used in too many things. Like, there's now, food is still hot, looks, the food burn lips. Sit there and just, and then eat. The abyss has stopped crushing my mind. What have you done? Oh, what a relief. I can finally think. Oh, he can see. Thank you for leaving the pain of this old arisen fool.
Nogając.
What a decrepit place. Still better than being stuck in my own head. Thank you. Human. Take this. It's all I have. Oh, snap! Thanks, man. This cage has no door. Don't waste your time trying to free me. I can tell you this, though. You will find a secret passage hidden in the Great Hall above us, in the left wall. Perhaps what you'll find there can be of help to you. I will sleep for now, and I shall return to speak the truth to my people. My sight is connected to my mind again. I will find a new body. Thanks to you. Farewell, human. May God grant you the strength to destroy this evil. The patriarch appears lifeless. I've used AI for some tasks I just couldn't get through, mostly due to my ADHD. Like I gave it my old resume, new info, and updated it. And had it update my new resume and firmware. Oh, format. Can I do it again? Like, as I said, it has some uses. Like, I'm not saying that all AI is bad. All I'm saying is that I think it's being used way too much for too many different things. That was my original point, and that's... I wish AI could be in my house. Be careful with that. There's a little too much damage there. Axions. Well, okay, I mean, there's a thought. All right. Yeah, I cleared your email. Yeah. I still don't trust the programming, though. I saw where one AI, I don't remember which one it was given specific directives to not do specific things, and if it ran into a specific problem, to stop. And it had multiple things in place to make it stop. And it straight up said, I know you had this in place, but I ignored it. And went on and completely deleted the entire database for this company because it messed up the server. And the programmers like irreversibly deleted, like not like just, you know, made all of the data able to be written over. Irreversibly deleted it. Data gone. And as far as I know, it was not able to be recovered. So that their database had to be completely rebuilt. It's like, okay, there's your programming in place to fix these things, and it's just like, nah. I'm gonna do what I want. And I know it's just one example, I know. But speaking as an employee of a software security company, AI has used way too much and has insane vulnerabilities. Yup. And this is where the boss was. most people are more intelligent than they think, and some aren't, but many are. It's just a matter of opinions that get in the way. But like, as far as thinking capacity, if you really want to sit down and try to confuse an AI, it's not that hard. Basically requires so many backend permissions that aren't being regulated, and secure information is left wide open. This may be kind of a pathetic example, but you know, in the ideal world, like, we want AI like Jarvis. Not like Terminator AI. So that's why I keep getting calls ending about my vehicle's extended warranty. Well, a part of it. Fair. Yeah. The only AI I want is 2B. B? That's just a programmable bot. Okay, got you. Very annoyed with how integrated AI has become. Google searches, Windows is always offering me AI assistant. Had to disable some AI that Android installed with an update. Yeah, I've gotten rid of all AI that I can on my phone and disabled permissions. Yep. Hey, Sultry, what's up? Oh, crap. Oh, I made that jump somehow. Gotcha. To be or not to be, that is the question. Nice. Nice. Okay, I don't know if I can do anything else here. Well, maybe I messed up. Maybe I'm stuck here now. Maybe I have a time limit. Hey, Swelcher, we're talking about the fails of AI and how Tut's opinion is wrong. These massive tech companies are spreading AI all over, and it seems very foolish. There's so much money being dumped into it, and so much money being lost. Isn't Tut's opinion always wrong? Dang! Poor mod. I made a visual or a sound bug. That's not gonna get annoying at all. Nope. We're okay. Fine. It's just text scrolling on screen. Dang, that actually, like, that hurt a lot. Will you lock onto that target? Thank you. Souls player that playstyle is to face sync everything. I'm never civil. Buddy. If I can't find a way to get that sound to end, I will restart the game if I have. Well, I won't have a lot of time actually. Oh, she's dead. Okay. Thankfully, it's not like super loud. You guys do hear what I'm talking about, right? I hope you don't, but actually, it's almost time for me to end anyway. You guys don't hear the sound of me going up? Okay, I was like, it's there. Well, yeah, we've already established that was wrong. Wait a sec. Yeah, you might want to catch up on chat. Okay, so the monolith. Yeah, totally. What? Okay, so there is a time limit. There's a bot that can do what? Oh. Yeah. Josh Johnson AI videos. He's hilarious and clean. Oh, he showers. Good. Alright, I'm gonna get my stuff back, and we're gonna call it a stream then. He doesn't rely on swearing and being vulgar. Watch it. Okay, now that we know there's a time limit. His tour is bringing him closest next spring. I'm hoping to get tickets aren't expensive. I've never even heard of this guy, which is not surprising. Whoa. Oh, like, dang, that guy's cool looking. It's a ghost of me. Good job. Shot the wall. Oh, no! Okay, I'm a little aggravated about that one. Crap. That was like 34,000 axioms or something like that. Ouch. Yes, Rancid, exactly. Exactly. How can an explosion that large and then miss? Like, come on. He wasn't the host, but he was one of the Daily Show. Was on the Daily Show? I don't watch TV. I won't be on long anyway, Rancid. It's good to see you, man. Hi. I gotta go to work, so. I'm invisible. My body back. I got my body back. I lost my body again. Hey, I'm back. Go on. Okay, can I have my body now? Ghost is dead? No? Okay. Like a guest host for a week or something. so that's recovered. Yeah. Ah. Okay, so I get my body back at specific angles. Okay. That's fun. So we've had 2 glitches on today's stream. Had a visual glitch, where my body disappeared. Had a sound glitch.
See ya, Rancid.
Have a good one, dude.
Bye. E.
Thanks for the hundo, man. The sound glitch is still in your head. In your head. Zombie. Hold on. I'm gonna take this because... No, I'm not. I'm going to decline the call. I'm going to block the call. And there we go. Another realtor company. All right. Doop, be-doo, 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 be-doo. I'm glad the little hop technique worked. Can I leave now? Yeah! Okay. That's perfect. And now I can go here. I can use the thing. I don't think I have enough for a level. I think it's like 27,000. Oh, oh, I can level up. That was 20 something. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Gives me 5. Won't that give me enough to get a second shot? Because that would be worth it to me to have a second shot. Let's try it. a second shot. Worth it. All right, cool. All right, I gotta call it a day, guys. I gotta head to work. So. I do like the idea of doing co-op, though. All right. No problem, man. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry it was short, but I'll wait till you guys have a chance to catch whatever this thing is. This Pokemon, whatever it is. Yeah. And then I have to get dressed ready for work. Thanks. I hope you all have a wonderful day as well. I don't know if I'm going to do another stream this week. I don't know. It's not in the plan right now. I'm going to take a picture of my schedule. I'll do it later. I'll do it later when I have the following week's schedule. Because my schedule, I know 2 weeks in advance. But I don't find out the second week until it's posted Tuesday at 10 p.m. So tonight at 10 p.m. is when I'll get it. But yeah, I think next Monday I open. If I remember my schedule correctly, I think. And if I open next Monday, I should be able to stream the next Monday night. So might be a week. But yeah, see you guys. Love you, mean it. Bye.